What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, talking OU football, college football, and sports in general. I have a special guest with me today, my man Coop, coming in to talk to you all about all things Sooners. Coop, what's going on, man?
Bro, hey, we got great stuff going on, man. We're going to focus on not what's going wrong, but what's going right, because there's a lot going right. And we all got to realize that, because this is building. We're not rebuilding. We're building something great here. And there's a lot that BV and crew are making it happen the right way.
Exactly. I'm with you, Coop, on that. And that's the thing that we try to do over here on Unfair Sports, is to just kind of remind everybody that it's gonna be okay. Breathe, relax. I usually, next time you see me, I'm gonna have on my Aaron Rodgers shirt that says to relax, because that's what we got to do. And so we got some good topics to talk about today. First, we're gonna start off with, let's talk about recruiting. So if you go to the channel, make sure while you're here, hit the like, subscribe button, as well as share. Why? Because sharing is caring. By hitting that like button, that tells YouTube that we're doing something right. Subscribe so you can see this content on a regular basis, and hit that notification button so that you're reminded when it happens. And so with that, recruiting is still going strong for Oklahoma. And in this video, we're going to talk about how strong it's looking right now, because 24/7 as well as On3 just had an update to their team rankings.
Yep.
And as bad as everything has looked before, this really makes everything look like things are going the way they need to. I get everybody has a fear right now about players decommitting, without realizing that a lot of players go to teams that are really bad in hopes of turning it around because it looks good on them. And right now, Oklahoma's not playing very well. We get it, but don't worry about that part. The beauty of this is that these recruits are just drooling right now. They're just chomping at the bit at, I could walk in here and start day one as a freshman and then become a 4-year starter. Oh, that looks great for the NFL draft. So with that, Coop, did you get a chance to check out the 24/7's latest update on the team rankings?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of great stuff. So Jackson Arnold, I mean, he's still the headliner of this class. There's smoke about Notre Dame. There's smoke about Texas. But guess what? If you're JA, you got to look at this and go, all right. I see some dudes that I got to throw with. I got some burners in Petaway and Evans coming in. Evans took a boost here. So we got, is it correct my math, but 7, right? Right.
Yep.
If the house is burning down, we got 7 top 100 guys from 247 that are coming in. And that's JA. That's PJ Adibare, Colton Vasek, Anthony Evans, Makari Vickers. You know, we've got dudes and they're lighting it up, right? So we've got a lot to look forward to, man. And they're selling their recruits early playing time. Josiah Wagner was one of the big dudes out of Washington, and he was being told that he was on the decommit watch if there was one. And dude comes out and he says, man, I talk to BV all the time, and he tells me I could come in and not play early, but I can come in and compete for the chance to play early. And so there's a culture being built with not only the dudes in the locker room, and there might be a little pushback to that, and maybe that's something we talk about another time, but BV and Jay Valai and all the dudes that are recruiting for us, they're going out there and having these conversations with these guys like, hey, listen, they built this thing on relationships. Caden McDonald, we were talking about that off air, the DT, and he's a dude too. He's that big nose tackle that's going to make this 3-3-5 tick. And so he's a guy that still, through all of this stuff, it's relationship. You check out dudes' Twitter handles, and they're saying, I'm all in, Boomer Sooner, the Jaquez Petaway. He says the Petaway effect coming to Norman next year. I mean, I just got to say this, man, is we have talent. We have guys who have bought into what Coach BV is selling, what Levy is selling, what all these guys, all this whole coaching staff is selling. And it is, you come in, you compete for the right to play on Saturday.
Right. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, that I understand the fears that we have, and you'll see the people in the comments. Hop in the comments and let us know what you think about this, and think about the fact that Oklahoma is the number 3 ranked team in recruiting right now. Now, we know this is a fluid thing. It goes up and down, but these players are improving. 7 top 100 players. I can see Colton Vasek as well as who was up there? Derek LeBlanc, both propelling back into the top 100 before the
Yeah.
season's up, which could push this team even higher. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. We'd love to hear from you all. That definitely helps us understand the direction to go. But to talk about these players and these relationships, that's the one thing I've preached about in all the videos I've done with these recruits is when they go in there, they don't go in there and promise them anything. They say, we're going to give you the opportunity to compete. And the beauty of it is Oklahoma has produced NFL caliber players all the time. Like there's guys in the NFL today still from Oklahoma. Players get drafted. I think they're like the second or third most players drafted in the NFL came from Oklahoma. So because of that, just because you have one bad year does not mean that the world's coming to an end. I remember we had an 8-5 season with Bob Stoops. The next year we went like 11-1. So it happens. And at the same time, these recruits understand that sometimes you're in a wave where you just didn't have enough players that you needed and you're bringing them in. So like today, there's one video I talked about a while back. You guys can check that out, that we lost about 40 something players had basically turned over from this team when Lincoln Riley decided to leave and go to USC. We lost players to the draft. We lost our top runner, receiver. We lost top sacks, tackles for loss, tackles. All of those players gone, as well as transferred out because, it's just, the attrition happens. And with that, they had to make up for that. So Venables came in here, salvaged the recruiting class and got a top 10 class to come in first year. Now he's pushing for a top 5 class. That's the building blocks you need to build towards playing in the SEC in 2025 right now. If we're going to get there, by the time we make it to the SEC, we'll have 3 to 4 classes under Venables and his staff that's dedicated to Oklahoma. And like you mentioned, Kate McDonald, I'm looking at him now. He is hardcore Clemson. That's what most of the predictions are. That tells me there's a very good chance he's going to end up at Oklahoma because his recruiter at Clemson was probably Todd Bates initially. And now Bates is here. They're bringing those players. They're bringing those big caliber dudes, those dudes that you need to beat the teams like your Alabamas and the emergence of Georgias and now Tennessees and stuff. You want to beat them? You got to have players they get. So pretty excited about that. So with that, I'm looking at On 3. And Coop, I think this is something that's really cool to look at. They moved Oklahoma up from 7 to 6. So they basically just jumped Texas in the rankings because of the players. What you think about that?
But that can't happen because we just lost to Texas, right? I mean,
right. It's impossible, right? Yeah. Like who on our team is going to want to stay here just because when we lose to Texas? We always remember Texas produces players and they get talent. But what does that make you think about when it comes to recruiting?
So here's the one thing is you mentioned Todd Bates, and I want to point out this, right? Todd Bates and bad turnip seed, they were with Brent at Clemson. They know what winning looks like. So if anybody's saying Brent's over his head or anything like that, it's not the case. And these recruits know about this because are we getting a guy like Makari Vickers going head to head with the defensive back in SEC country under Lincoln, maybe even under Bob, and even before that? Now, I mean, maybe Switzer, the king, he could pull whoever he wanted. But we're not going head to head with Alabama and pulling that dude from. Jay Valai was rocking right there. Derek LeBlanc, this is another kid out of Florida. And again, he is going to be coming in. We're not winning that guy with the previous regime. And you know what?
Yep.
A lot of people, I want to say this, is take a step back also because you mentioned about 40% roster turnover. We got our first string and second string quarterback gone, right? So we bring in Dylan Gabriel. And I still think we still got season to play. DG is going to be great, right? DG is going to be great. Just 100% on that one. But we lose all these people off the team. Lincoln goes over there and they're producing. They've got some good talent at USC. And that's one thing that was masking a lot of our defensive ineptitude was, out of this world quarterback play. Jackson Arnold's that next dude. He is that next dude. He was the Rivals. He was the quarterback MVP for the Rivals. The Hot 11 quarterback
Elite 11, yeah.
Elite 11. Yes, I always mess that one up. So he was the MVP. And again, there is a slight controversy going down with the number one quarterback in the class, right? Because everybody thinks due to his last name, he's number one. A lot of dudes are saying Jackson is the dude. And when you go to these camps and you show up at these camps and you show out, that is why Anthony Evans. And where's Anthony Evans out of? Can you help me? Can you help me, Jay?
Anthony Evans is out of Texas, Converse, Texas.
Okay. Anthony Evans, Jaquez Petaway, these two dudes see Jackson Arnold and they're like, I would like to play with that. Yes, please.
Yes.
I want to do that. And then,
yes,
there's still an outside chance with Malachi Coleman, the tight end out of Nebraska. He's got a good relationship with the potential head coach to be there, but there's a lot of people saying that Matt Rule might be a big candidate for Nebraska because he's going to be a program builder. But focusing back on ours is as we are moving up in ratings, you got guys like Keon Brown. I mentioned to you the 6'3" wide receiver that nobody ever heard of out of Tallahassee, Florida, right?
Florida.
Nobody had ever heard about this dude. He comes to OU camps. They offer him on the spots. They encourage him, go home, take your time. They built in that relationship, and this is the culture that we're looking for. But we want you to make absolute sure that this is it, because once you commit, you're here. And so he goes home, he commits. I think I told you this, the yardage may be off on this one, but in the first half of his first game, he had 3 touchdowns, 3 catches, and it was 235 yards. I mean, it was just something silly. But dude showed up, and they were like, "No, we're offering dude on." They didn't say like, this is not a committable offer. We want to see a few games." So you got guys like that that are going to continue to rise up. Adibare, the more people that see that guy, there's a lot of recruiting experts that say this might be the most insane defensive end, highest ceiling. Dude, I think he's been playing football for like 2 years still.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. He's only been playing for 2 years. Yeah.
He's raw. He's coming in. They say Vosick. And again, if we can hold on to him, this dude, he's a Texas legacy. But if Vosick knew the Texas OU thing was going to be a pull, he knew that when he committed. And that was a massive flip. And a lot of people are saying he's the missing third Bosa brother. So, again, we are going in defensive guys. And this is, again, these aren't all offensive prospects in this top 100, Jay. These are defensive dudes.
Yeah, and it's funny about that is when you look at this class, the majority of them are defensive players. So it looks like Venables is building towards his defense. So we talked about, the 3-3-5 that they run and how they may need to make adjustments because of the current players that they have on the team. But this is what they're building for. They've got, they got 12 of their 22 recruits on the defensive side. And it's mainly defensive linemen and linebackers. Like, the focus is to get those guys that can work in the system. And then you add the athletes that are most likely going to play in the secondary. All you're doing is building up a force on the defensive side to prepare for this high-octane offense that Levy's going to want to run with Nick Evers as well as Jackson Arnold when he walks in. Like, the thing for me, I was hoping that Jackson will walk in, probably redshirt, let Evers play for a year, maybe 2. But if we don't get Evers out there soon, I'm thinking Jackson Arnold's going to walk in and play as a freshman. And then, I'm not going to complain about 3 years of Jackson Arnold. I don't think anybody else would. But I would love to see Nick Evers get an opportunity to play. So let's switch gears real quick. Before we move into the next topic, there's a couple of players that are being looked at to come to Oklahoma. You got Akana out there in Utah. He's a linebacker, as well as Caden McDonald. Like, when it comes to those two, which one do you see most likely getting a commitment soon?
So from the heat around everybody, and if you have, again, when these recruiting experts, you've got local and regional guys that are just watching OU, and then you've got regional guys. The local guys around McDonald and the regional guys around McDonald, they're all looking at OU, right? The Akana conversation, really, when DJ Hicks, and I know that's a little bit of a curse word right now, but when Hicks made the decision that he made a business decision
Mhm.
And I'm not going to bag on him or anything like that, but he definitely, they thought, well, he was now a much more of a gotta get type of a guy. And
Right.
a lot of people thought that we had cooled on Akana, but everybody reached out to him and he said, no, we talk every day. And that's, again, these relationships that Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis and Brent Venables are doing. And so, but those are in the Tassili Akana, he is going to be that stand up, outside linebacker, defensive line. When we're going 3-3-5, he's a dude who could come up, put a hand down, but he could stand up too. Whereas
Right.
McDonald, he is that anchor nose tackle, and we would love to have him because, again, most people say, I mean, if you are strong up the middle, starting with that nose tackle, those middle linebackers and that safety crew, that's it. And we haven't even talked about Peyton Bowen or Yates. And though, these are Ryan Yates is an LSU commit still. I got to think that, like, you know what? Norman's not the only place that's experiencing some stuff right now. You just saw
Yeah.
Baylor lose to West Virginia tonight. So now Baylor's down to 3-3. You've got Miami, and everybody thought that Cristobal was going to, tear it up out there. He's struggling. Notre Dame, we saw what was going on at the beginning of the year there. And then there's down in Kyle Field, there's another team, and they made it interesting against Alabama's second string, running back quarterback.
Yeah.
But again, when I say all that
Milroe.
stuff, is these recruits, they know that they're making business decisions for the next 3 to 5 years, and so they're going to look at track record because OU doesn't have a track record of losing. Bates doesn't have a track record of poor defense. BV doesn't have a track record of poor defense. These recruits are seeing the track record, and Todd Bates can go in and say, hey, look at all these guys in the NFL. Those are all dudes that I coached.
Exactly. And that's what you want. That's the thing that you leverage is, let me show you the guys that I was able to help develop and go into the league. All right, let's switch gears here. We got a game this weekend. Looking at these recruits, Akana as well as Caden McDonald will be on official visits at Oklahoma this weekend from the Kansas game. So there's going to be a lot of folks in town, a lot of eyeballs paying attention to what's going on here in Soonerville. And I think with that, it looks like, yep, they're the only two that's on for official visits. And then, which is shocking to me, DJ Hicks and Joshua Bates are set still to show up for November 19th, which is Bedlam. So if DJ still comes out, it's a good chance he could flip. But let's go ahead and jump into the OU versus Kansas game. Coop, how you feeling about OU going against Kansas at the crib? First, we've got the new jerseys coming out. Got a video on that. Feel free to check that out. And we've also got conversations around DJ Graham moving positions from corner to wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I'm kind of curious to, first off, who's going to throw the ball? Hopefully somebody who's going to throw the ball and actually throw it. And if Dylan Gabriel doesn't play. But how you feel about us going up against Kansas since now they do not have Jalen Daniels and it looks like he's definitely out?
All right. So you and I were talking about this, and, there were some people saying that, like, watch out for Kansas, right? Kansas did beat Texas again last year. I don't know if you knew that, but watch out for Kansas because they've got some tools. Everybody saw Jalen Daniels, and they saw, they've got a great coach who is going to get approached by a lot of schools.
Yeah,
and I brought up Matt Rule. And I want to say this. Matt Rule is getting paid, what was it, $840,000 a month with his $40 million buyout for the next 4 years. If he goes and coaches, he forfeits a massive chunk of that buyout, if not all of it. And so I don't think Matt Rule's taking a job. If I was Matt Rule, I think I would go somewhere with sand. But you got to look at the Kansas head coach, Leipold, and he is going to be approached by two schools he has massive connections with. It is Nebraska. And even though a lot of people think that Wisconsin's going to be pretty much set where they're at, I think that he's going to get looked at. People are seeing what he's doing with Kansas, bro. Even though they got those Texas wins, I mean, Kansas, man, like they're talking about like this is the greatest team since Todd Reesing. We got some people are going to be watching this weren't born.
Good old Mangino,
Yeah.
07.
Back in the Mangino days. So I'll just say this coach is being looked at. He is the next hot name, and Kansas is a basketball school. And if they might want to pony up, because we're seeing basketball schools actually start putting some resources into football. Look at Kentucky. Look at Duke. I mean, Kansas and Duke played, but Duke's respectable. They've always been a laughingstock in college football. So here's what I say: is Jason Bean. He almost put us out of our misery last year. So
He did.
He is going to be a dude that we got to pay attention to. Devin Neal, this is a running back averaging 6.6 yards a carry. And then they got the Grim Reaper out at the wide out spot. Luke Grimm, he is a dude that can produce. So here's my thoughts is I think that DG comes back in and he plays this week. And 49-0, there's not a lot of positive takeaways. But, bro, let's just pause and play the what-if game to point out something that I think is good. Do you remember when the Bulldozer first rolled out and we were all like, okay, that's a gimmick. This is OU. We don't need to be doing that. And now we're still talking about it. How many years later? So they went in with the offensive game plan around the fact that this might be the best option of winning. And let's just paint this picture that, you know what, Levy went a little Chuck Long on us and did I don't call the Braden Willis dozer, but between those guys, they were making a push right up the middle.
The Will Cat is what they was calling it.
Yeah, so that is something that I think that we might see a little bit of because I mean, dude, we were making chunks on that play. So let's
my goodness.
Let's pretend that we go in and score a touchdown. And I know this is a what if game, right? So we score a touchdown on that series. We get the one where Eric Gray is running towards the goal line and does the jump pass. Let's say that we get a field goal. We're looking at 21-14 or 21-10 going into halftime. That game is approached completely different. That didn't happen. We didn't score. It was 0. This week, I think DG comes back. I think we need to have one focus when it comes to quarterback play, and it's get Mims the ball. That's option 1, option 2, option 3. Let's get Mims the ball. I think that we're going to have that stable running backs that are going to be looking to go like, hey, listen, we were showing out. We're ready to go. I think it's young guys' time too. You know, I think I want to see Javonte Barnes get back out there and get going because dude's explosive. Jaden Gibson didn't even have a role against Texas. And, a lot of people like Theo Weiss were pretty upset too. So I think that you bring out some of these young cats. You got the young tight ends in Llewellyn. You've got Gibson and Nick Anderson. And I don't know, a lot of people don't know this. You do a great job with content, most likely. But, Nick Anderson is another dude that can be out there. I think that
6'4".
we go out.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, you got between 6'3" and 6'4". You got Mims, which is lightning. Stoops is going to be back in and playing. So here's my prediction. I think we go in, and if Dylan Gabriel comes out and plays, I think we show up inspired for homecoming. Again, for all the fans looking, if just understand this, let's show up because we want to show these recruits, even if it's one guy, two guys, the perception. We want to show them that, listen, man, we're not going to give up on you, and this is who you're going to be playing for. Nebraska has been awful for 10 years, and they're packing every single week.
Every week. That's what they do. And I got a couple things on that. First off, Lance Leipold, I mean, he was at Wisconsin Whitewater just winning national championship after national championship after national championship. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 6 titles, and he played in 7 in the 8 years he was there. I'm just waiting for University of Wisconsin to call him and say, hey, we want to hire you now. Especially as they just fired Chris. So it makes sense for him to end up back in Wisconsin if they want to pony up. But Kansas is, like you said, Kansas is trying to put that money out there. Now, when it comes to the Wildcat, this is the thing that bothered me about that. If you're going to go in, just go all in. To me, they should have just ran the triple option the entire game. Period. Yeah. Like, it should have been running that in practice and saying, all we're going to do is run the Navy offense and just run it down your throat. Because guess what? Texas wasn't stopping it if you would have done it that way. We got too cute. That's kind of, to me, what I felt like we started getting too cute with it. I don't need Bevel to be going out there at wide receiver. Just put all running backs and wide receivers and swap it around. Now, the other thing, this is one thing I disagree with you on, the Mims piece, 1, 2, and 3. No, give me Mims, give me Farouk, because Farouk was a monster out there running that ball on returns,
I can give that.
on rushes. Give me those two. Put it in their hands. And then add Eric Gray, put Major out there, and had Javante Barnes literally just run nothing but options with Willis. Let the Wildcat run the triple option, and let's be Navy for a game if we don't pick a quarterback. Now, in this game, my thoughts are this. If Dylan Gabriel's back, which he's still in concussion protocol, we won't know until he'll probably be a game time decision, which is annoying, but game time decision.
10:56.
Yeah, right. If he does play, we beat Kansas. I don't think we'll have an issue with them. I think the team will get more confidence and they'll feel better about themselves and they should win this game. If he doesn't play and we don't name a quarterback, I think we lose this game. All because we'll go out there and just not really have a true plan. But if we name a quarterback and say, look, we're going to throw the ball with General Booty or Nick Evers, because we've already seen Bevel. If we just say we're going to throw one of those two, I think we can still pull out a W. I think it's still possible with one of those two throwing the ball, mainly because Kansas did give us problems last year, but they're not doing it without Daniels is that offense, and Daniels the man. And I think that as long as he's out, that team is going to be a couple tiers down. And I think the defense will step up from it. So,
and I'm going to point out something, and I'm kind of stealing this from somebody, but what happens when you got a big, long defensive back who likes to play run coverage? They get comfortable in that, and they're downfield. They're not in the business decisions up at the line of scrimmage. I do want to point out this. If I was Jeff Lebby, I would be watching film, and I'd be watching Kobe Bryant. He used to go by Jacoby Bryant, but he's their big, long, defensive back. If I am Lebby, I am putting Willis in the slot on his side, and I'm throwing that fast tunnel. I'm making Kobe Bryant. That's not. I'm making him go and tackle our guys.
Yes.
And I am running Marcus Major on the outside, because you know what happens? He's going to be doing that arm tackling stuff and, the pushing, and you might see like that kind of things. But I'm going to make Kansas commit to a physical game, because again, they're already, just on that morale. They're trying to convince themselves that, you know what, this isn't that bad, but they are coming into Norman with the thought of we can win. We're going to win. But you know what?
Oklahoma's tail spinning. This is the opportunity for them. Yeah.
What is it? Muhammad Ali said everybody's got a plan until they get hit.
Just about every boxer. Yep, that's basically it.
So
him and Tyson.
we got a plan now on defense. I want to see some pups, brother. I want to see some pups out there. We got to see everybody's been thumping. Pro Football Focus says though that Jaron Kanak is he is very, very high on this total snaps played. It's been a lot of special teams, but I want to see dudes start flying around. I don't know if it's moving some guys, because again, I don't know if the Big 12 is attainable anymore, but if we're building, we need to start building for the future. Guys like Jaden Rowe, Robert Spears Jennings, Jamarian Burt, Kobe McKenzie. I want to see some of these young kids get in here and really have a chance. And let's see here. I had in here the notes. Kip Lewis. If you go back and look when Kip came in, dude came in like a freaking missile and was making some stuff happen.
Deshaun White was talking about him in his post in one of his interviews during practice. He had mentioned that he thinks that Kip's going to be something special. He saw that in him in practice, and he's like, yeah, he's going to be something. There's something there. I think the same thing with him and Kobe McKenzie can definitely do that. I want to see more Kanik as well. If we can get the young guys out there, this isn't a lost season, but it's not a season for a national championship. But it is a chance we can go to a bowl game and go to a nice bowl game with a really nice record. This is the time to get them young boys out there and get them accustomed to hitting folks. And if we can get more Kanik, if we can get more Kip Lewis, especially since we're thin on the linebackers piece with TD Roof being hurt, and then we just lost Shane Whittier, that's something that we need to go after. And I totally agree with you there. If we can get Kip out there and Kanik, that secondary, go ahead and give me some Jennings, Robert Jennings.
Gentry Williams is another kid.
Gentry Williams. Gentry got an interception his first game. Give me some of them young boys.
Yeah.
Let's mix that up. We're deep enough. I think we're deep enough in the secondary, especially with DJ moving over to wide receiver. I had a couple people asking, "Is like, do we have enough corners?" I'm like, yeah, we've got a lot of young players that we could definitely put out there that I think can do it. Jaden Rowe, you've got a lot of players that you can put out there that can get an opportunity to play. I think that it's a good idea to go ahead and move forward with that. So,
yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff. Well, hey. Coop, thank you for joining us here on Unfair Sports. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so it's actually, you go to Twitter and check out COOPRIDE. You got the V because I think that was my fault, but Coop Ride 1982. You can check me out. I also have a crypto radio show that I'm co-host on, so you might see a lot of crypto stuff. But I mean, my life on there is typically for sports and cryptocurrency stuff. So yeah, it's been great, man. Jay, I appreciate, you bringing me on because, I like I said, I think that we've got the great direction going on right now. And this weekend, once again, if you're watching this, let your friends know, guys, this is still OU. We are a next level school. We're going to the SEC where it just means more. And we got to show up that it means more right now. This isn't Vanderbilt. All due respect. This ain't Vanderbilt. We're going to show up and we're going to say, to these recruits coming in, like, we're here to support you one way or the other.
Right. Exactly. 100%. And remember that there's only one Oklahoma, and this school will still bring in talent. We're bringing in talent now. And so we're continuously building towards the future and winning towards the day. So with that, please hit the like, subscribe button. Let us know what you think. Jump in the comments and show us some love. And with that, chop it up with y'all in a few days. Peace.